Alright, what's up, y'all? We're back again with more, and of course, now we're getting back into the pro wrestling world, and whew, this one's going to be a bit of a doozy, especially with where we're starting, so let's not waste any more time. Y'all remember Odyssey Jones, right? Well, of course, as we remember a few months ago, he was released from WWE as a result of a domestic violence situation. Now, I gotta say, this one's really wild, and I also have to say, especially admittedly, having had history with domestic violence myself, no matter how you slice this up, it's not something that's a comfortable situation to talk about. It's something, especially given the fact that I have the history that I do with it. Of course, I'm not going to go into any details here. It's just something that, I wish we could do without. And sadly and unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that's ever going to be the case. But more so for the fact that, it's affecting a career such as one the likes of Odyssey Jones here. And here's one aspect of it that I find really fucked up. Obviously, we're dealing with a black man here, but not only a black man, a large black man, a really large black man. And even more fucked up than that, how easy is it that it's going to be, the fingers are going to be pointed in his direction. Fortunately, now that we have actual details that have been revealed, that can be proven to not be the case, and as it turns out, it was actually his ex-girlfriend or ex-partner, however you want to word that. It's really tough because you gotta imagine this is where it's really important to just be incredibly mindful when it comes to the company that you keep, because it's going to affect any and everything that you want for your life, and this is just proof like no other as to what that really means, and in all honesty, even though it hasn't really affected me in that same way, I wish I'd have learned and applied these same lessons, especially at younger points in my life, but of course we can't turn back time. That said, it was just real interesting because earlier, in actually my most recent video, my most recent sports video, I made a pro wrestling reference specifically to that. I believe it was the New Year's show with AEW, and I'm pretty sure it was a show they had at the Hammerstein Ballroom. I referenced that specifically because of the match between Brody King and Will Ospreay. But I'm doing I'm doing the reverse in this case, where I got to make a sports reference in my wrestling video, specifically talking about Stephen A. Smith from an episode a long time ago of ESPN's First Take, where he told a story of a fairly big name pro athlete. Of course, he didn't reveal the name of said athlete, and understandably so, especially out of respect for said athlete. And apparently he had an individual in his life, perhaps a friend or relative, that was known for getting into his share of trouble. And as the story went, as he told, and I'm paraphrasing here, said athlete went to meet said individual, and I gotta tell you, this one's pretty heavy-handed when you think about it, but as it turns out, he went to meet said individual, had a briefcase full of money, undisclosed amount, again, understandable, and handed said briefcase to said individual, and basically said something along the lines, I can't begin to tell you how much it pains me to do this, but this is where we say goodbye. All you can think to say is, damn on that. But either way, the point I'm wanting to make here is that this is certainly true in the case of Odyssey Jones, and from what I understand, he's handled the situation responsibly. All the respect in the world to him on that. And I said before, I felt like he presented himself in a way that just made it hard for me to believe that he'd be this type of person. I'm glad to know that I was proven right, and hopefully I continue to be in this case as he is taking bookings right now. Honestly, I hope he's back in WWE, and if not, hopefully Tony Khan takes a chance on him, as we'll talk about here in a bit. But now we're going to go actually more into WWE stuff, specifically with Bad Bunny here. This one's really, really interesting because he had an interview recently with the Rolling Stone talking about his role in the most recent Happy Gilmore 2 movie, of course his upcoming album, and why not talk about, of course, his relationship with WWE. Now, oddly enough, this is where a lot of people felt like he actually leaked information as to the upcoming Backlash event. Interestingly enough, this was expected to possibly be in Mexico. Now, I've talked before about how much of a fan I was of the San Juan presentation of Backlash, and for a variety of reasons. I'm not even going to get into details about that, but either way, it was just really, really interesting because I actually told a friend and co-worker the following Monday, I felt like I was at a San Juan house party and not watching a WWE PLE. I stand by that. I mean, that's still true to this day. And really and truly, it was actually a hell of a show. All of the international PLEs, at least as far as I know, have actually been really good. I know I've talked about how I boycott all the Saudi shows. That's not going to change, even though we've got a Royal Rumble coming up that's going to be in Saudi. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is that it would have actually been pretty interesting to see Backlash in Mexico, especially, again, for the environment that we got in San Juan. I feel like we would have had a very similar flavor, certainly similar energy, and even if that isn't to be the case, I imagine and I definitely think there's definitely a win to when we get an actual PLE in Mexico. Woo, man, it's going to be jumping, and I look forward to when they do it. But, of course, that's where that rumor was killed. We don't know where they're going to actually have Backlash, but wherever it is, especially if it is international, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a damn good one. With that in mind, speaking of damn good ones, we got to talk AEW WWE here. Oddly enough, it turns out, of course, we already have Saturday Night's main event once again this month, at the end of the month, specifically on the 25th. Now it seems we've got 2 more dates that have been revealed for Saturday Night's main event, and both of them coincide at the very least with AEW PLEs or pay-per-views. I guess they're PLEs now with them being on Max. But both of those being specifically Double or Nothing and All In Texas, which are easily 2 of the biggest shows of AEW's calendar year. That being said, I find this really, really interesting, especially given the fact that, of course, I get the argument, of course, you want to play with the big boys, here you go, kind of thing when it comes to AEW. But now we got to talk about, I feel like what has to be an even bigger issue where that's concerned. And it actually begins with the fact that, interestingly enough, tonight is going to be the WWE debut of Pentagon. And really, it's even wilder for the fact that Penta's merch was actually leaked earlier today on WWEshop.com, apparently, no less. I mean, it was pretty obvious last week when Chad Gable was running his mouth with Alpha Academy, or American Made in tow, in Adam Pearce's office, that he was going to wind up having Penta as his mystery opponent. That being said, I actually got to talk about the fact that now, given the situation with Penta going to WWE and I got to imagine Rey Fenix isn't going to be too far behind. AEW, specifically Tony Khan in general, needs to mind their / his P's and Q's now. Because whether it's your personnel in terms of contract situations, booking decisions, or whatever the fuck the case may be, this shit that has been going on with Tony Khan absolutely needs to stop. And that's given the fact that we've actually gotten an awfully good AEW product in recent weeks. Now, even with all that being said, it doesn't mean shit can't be better. And I certainly hope, for AEW's sake, that continues to be the case. Especially if we're going to wind up having Saturday night's main event at the very least coinciding with Double or Nothing and All In Texas, respectively. So I like the fact that, as talked about before, we're going to be getting Okada Omega at All In Texas. We're going to really have to load it up for that and Double or Nothing now. And not only that, the product cannot be a miss at any point between now and those two respective dates. So we'll see how all this goes moving forward, and that's where I'm going to leave it at that. So y'all know what it is from here. Let me know what y'all think. I mean, how are y'all feeling with the product from both sides so far in 2025? But other than that, y'all know what it is. Let me know what y'all thinking down below. Like, share, subscribe. Y'all know what it is. And of course, this has been your time with A&J, and I thank you for spending it.